Here we go now.
Hey, y'all. Happy Monday. Let me know if you can hear me, see me, all the good stuff. Don't forget to like the video. This is our weekly recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 16, Episode 5, and the big departure, the big event that we've been talking about, the big departure of Kenya Moore. We've been talking about this fiasco, this incident, this HR nightmare since the beginning of, June? So it's almost a year later. But before we get into any of that, be sure to let me know how you would rate this week's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Be sure to like the video if you're watching on YouTube. Shout out to those of you watching on Twitch and Twitter and on TikTok in front of me. And also those of you watching on Facebook, I said, and YouTube. Did I say all the places? Okay. All right. Shout out to everyone that is here for our Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. Good morning. Good morning. Let me know where you're watching from. Thank you. Kathy says we hear and see you, Kempire. Thank you. Shout out to anyone celebrating a birthday. It is still Aries season. How to think about that. Okay. It's still Aries season. So shout out to any of you still celebrating your birthday this month. All right. It's about to be Taurus season. So buckle up. All right. So Real Housewives of Atlanta. So after watching it last night, and I get it, people have their sides. There are people that are team this one. I see that Cynthia Bailey is getting it because people feel like she's not being a good friend to Kenya Moore. But have you seen Porsha's comments under Britt Edie's post where Britt Edie is saying, I'm still here. Did you see Porsha's post? Porsha, but here's the thing. We're not surprised. Maybe that's what it is. We're not surprised that Porsha is not a loyal friend to anyone because she's never been a loyal friend to Shamia. And Shamia has been a die-hard, longtime friend to Porsha. And Porsha can't even be a friend to her. So I'm not shocked at Porsha's behavior, okay? However, I get it. I don't know if people are really that divided in regards to the whole situation between Britt and Kenya. So we're going to unpack it. But if you're new here, we are team us. You could be team me. You could be team you. I'm going to be team Kempire all day, every day, because we don't know these people and these people do not want to know us. Okay? So just remember that. And also remember my background in working in human resources and working with people and staff and managing attorneys, okay? So remember the perspective that I'm coming from. It's okay to have your opinion, okay? It's okay to have your opinion, but buckle up. I'm in my villain era. Don't be coming at me sideways because you might get it. Look, I'm not going to hit you. Come on now. I know better than that. This is still a work environment. Is it? Not really. It's my work environment. You're not my employee. All right. I have to say, though, after watching this week's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, I still had to look at it from a perspective of entertainment. Outside of the whole HR nightmare that this is, still had to look at the episode and say to myself, was it still an interesting, entertaining episode? For me, episode 5, another, they had 4 weeks of declining ratings, not just in their live viewership, but also in their demo. I wasn't entertained. Even with all the theatrics and all of the hype, that came with this episode, I was sort of like, okay. Outside of the whole Kenya and Britt storyline, I was just like, all right, what else is going on? Okay, we're going to talk about what else is going on when it comes to this cast. I'm not feeling it. And look, no matter how people feel about Britt Edie, if you're team Britt or your team whoever, I'm looking at Britt Edie as just a newbie. Of all of the 3 newbies, right? 4 newbies. I don't really consider Shamia a newbie. Of the 3 newbies, she is the least interesting. And if I had to make a cut, she would be immediately cut. Just aside from the whole pow 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 situation, she's boring. I was a video model. I was a video vixen back. There's nothing interesting about Britt Edie to me. And we're 5 episodes in, and I'm still not interested. And then the whole pistol and the whip stuff just is the cherry on top. It's just like, yeah, girl, there's nothing else going on with you. Is it something going on with you? Because I don't understand that behavior. I don't understand how we got to the place. I don't understand why we were talking about an incident that happened at Shamia's birthday party, which again, based off of what we're seeing and hearing, that's the only interaction that you and Kenya had. I'm not understanding the obsession. It's actually giving weird. It's actually giving concerning. And if I was Kenya, I would have never invited her to my Kenya Moore hair care spa. But here's the thing. Kenya did that because Kenya knew what she was going to do at the spa. But me personally, girl, you threatened me with a pistol and a whip. You ain't coming to my grand opening. But I'm also not making my grand opening about you at all. After I invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm not making my event about you. Actually, this is a perfect opportunity for people not to talk about you and make it about me. But anyway, we will get there. Let's first start off with Angela. You are such a two-faced motherfucker. Come on. Isn't she two-faced? Didn't y'all catch how she was saying one thing to Britt and then another thing to Kenya? I was like, you are so two-faced. And we could do a lot of jokes about that, but I'm not going to do what Shamia did. Just saying. But so two-faced. You were giving one energy to Britt in this scene with you and Shamia, and then another energy to Kenya. I am totally on your side. Lies, the lie. I am totally on your side. That's not what you said when you were talking with Britt and Shamia. Come on. I still like Angela. Don't get me wrong. But I'm gonna call out people when necessary. When I feel like, wait, girl. Okay, Ashley says yes. I peeped that with Angela quick. I'm trying to understand, Angela. But okay. So Angela, Shamia, and Britt meet up. And Britt already is coming in immediate apologetic. And look, I'm not saying that people can't have remorse. It just didn't make sense. And then Angela was the one who wrote the question. She admitted that she's the one that wrote that question. Remember last week we were saying, it feels like Britt wrote that question herself. No, but Angela was the one that did it. She admitted that she was the one who wrote the question. And Shamia says, I don't like the, okay, this is why I don't love TikTok. Who reported us on TikTok for harassment and bullying? Really? You people are sad. Not all of y'all on the TikTok. The people that come in here and report things unnecessarily. You are sad and pitiful. Go get a life. And the fact that TikTok allows y'all to do that without grounds, go get a life. Okay? Anyway, back to this. I'm sorry, y'all. This is why I can't F with TikTok. This is why TikTok talks about banning people. TikTok, you need to worry about the way that you guys handle all of that stuff on there. This is why creators have left your platform. And at this particular point, y'all could be gone. I only do this for my folks that still follow me here. Be gone, TikTok. All right. Sorry, y'all. I just saw that. I was like, what? What's going on? Let me take a sip. Okay. So immediately Britt comes in and she's very apologetic because here's the thing. You're not telling me that production, everyone else didn't seem to hear when Britt brought up the pistols and the whips and things like that. No one else heard it. Kelly said she didn't hear it. Porsha didn't hear it. But again, they're mic'd and there's a lot of things going on and people are just trying to get out. I'm not going to say that everyone didn't hear it, but production heard it because they're mic'd, okay? They're mic'd. So production knew they had to do damage control. They had to do something. So I'm sure they had a conversation with her. I'm sure the network was called about it. Okay. So immediate Brit's coming in. I'm so apologetic. I'm so sorry, Angela. Angela's like, I was getting it from the owner about everything that's going on, that happened. You know, do we need security for these types of events? Clearly, the owner did not realize how Housewives, goes, but fine. But if they heard what Britt was saying, then I could understand where they're like, we know how Housewives goes, but we never heard people threatening people with pow pow pows. Okay. So Angela's just like, Angela admitted that she's the one who wrote the question. Britt says that she wasn't trying to intimidate Kenya. Unless you don't know what the word intimidate means, which I do think that you know exactly what you meant by that. You were trying to intimidate Kenya. Why the hell would you bring up whips and pistols and things like that multiple times? It wasn't like it was one time you said it. Is it drugs? Because your behavior was giving from 0 to 1,000. It was giving, read between the lines. It was giving weirdo behavior. I'm sorry. Based on what we watched, it made no sense. That's why I said there had to be more. There had to be something. What exactly happened between Kenya and this girl for it to escalate to what it was? And I think it's because Kenya didn't embrace her, literally at the dinner, didn't embrace her, but I think at the beginning. And even Porsha, when she meets up with Britt later, she's just like, Kenya hasn't been giving this energy to Kelly or Angela, and they're both new. But okay, we'll get there. So Britt says that, I wasn't trying to intimidate Kenya. So what were you trying to do? Why'd you bring all that energy? It's like, F all these cameras, F all these cameras. I still got my pistol with me. I got my whips and da-da. So if that wasn't it, if you weren't trying to intimidate Kenya, so what were you trying to do? What's the word? Give me an adjective. All of this regret, people like, oh, yeah, because I mentioned this on Twitter. Hey, Twitter. How can people not understand people can be remorseful 2 days later? Unless she was drunk or something else, the behavior has been giving weird. She's been bringing up Kenya since episode 1. And then I was like, okay, why does she keep bringing it up in every scene that she's had? She's like, I don't know what's going on with Kenya, but I got something for girls like her. All she asked about was your band. We all had the question. I said, maybe she's engaged. This is why we were all confused. Like, wait, is she married or is she engaged? And then all you have to do is answer it. You had a problem with Kenya since the beginning. Kenya, buckle up, girl, because you're not getting off easy either. Team Twirl, calm down. But I have to call out the stupidity when I see the stupidity and the clout chasing of it all, the thirsty of it all. It didn't make sense since the beginning, Britt. And I don't believe that you were remorseful. I believe production said, girl, you need to clean this up. You need to clean this up. But I always remind you guys, this is a work environment. No, she didn't need to just clean this up on camera. You needed to sit down with both of them. And this should have been resolved off camera so that we can have a second conversation on camera to clean it up. Because immediately as those things started to transpire, that's when they should have come in and did something. Because let me tell you something, if I was Kenya in that situation, she wouldn't have been invited to my event. And again, this would have been your best option, Kenya. You could have easily X'd her out of this episode. At least for you, the large majority of this episode. Say, I'm not filming with that chick. She's correct. She threatened me. I am not going to film with her. But Kenya had other ideas. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. SD Mac, thank you so much for the super chat. SD Mac says, "This is entertaining. Why? This is entertaining? Question mark. Why I stopped watching high cost for low living." Ooh, damn. Miss Parker, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Miss Parker says, "Bravo kept Britt to avoid a lawsuit. She is litigious employee. Thank you for keeping us up to date, Kempire." Thank you, Miss Parker. I think well, here's the thing. Again, every company is a little different. The type of threat that Britt made would have immediately, in my situation, if it was up to me, I would have immediately stopped filming with her. And then I would have had them come together and have a conversation off camera before we get on camera. Because before we get back on camera, I'm going to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Everyone's good. We're in a good place. We're going to sit down and have a conversation. They should have had a sit down off camera and then a sit down before we even had the event. In my opinion, again, all these different departments and managers are going to handle these types of things differently, but there is no way in hell that you're going to make threats of violence and you're going to be able to just come to my event. No, I'm not. That's not what we're going to do. We need to have a conversation. I did see that Andy said on Watch What Happens Live that there was an investigation. He confirmed 2 investigations. The investigation into what Britt Edie said at the bank event last episode and into the Kenya stuff. So he did confirm that there were 2 investigations. I know that was intentional on Bravo's part for him to mention that. 2 events, 2 investigations. All right. Let me move on. Actually, let me take a sip from my shake. I was so busy this morning, I didn't even get to eat anything yet. So after this, I'm going to have to eat. So callers, it's going to be brief today. Okay. All right. So moving on. Moving on. So we had that scene with Shamia, Britt, and Angela. Angela seems to be on Britt's side because and Shamia, because they were saying, oh, they didn't like how Kenya was cutting Britt off. Again, we're watching an edited show. They re-showed it. I didn't feel like it was that deep with Kenya in regards to her cutting off Britt, because I probably would have cut off Britt too. I'm like, girl, I don't know what your issue with me is. Now you're trying to paint me in this narrative that that I don't get along with people already. Like, you don't know me in order to say I don't get along with people, that I can't say something nice to you. What is your issue with me? We're on episode 5. Episode 4 at this particular point. And yes, at this particular point, they've been filming for weeks. 3 weeks, technically. Okay? I still don't understand what your issue with me. I'm going to cut you off because this doesn't make sense. You are trying to have a moment. And girl, you are not a moment, right? Based on what we've seen so far, you are not a moment. You're not funny. You're not entertaining. And I guess maybe you're used to just kind of getting through life on your looks. But girl, that's not going to work on television. It's not. Okay. All right. Moving on. Porsha, Kenya, and Kelly meet at Kenya's hair spa because she's preparing, and so she wants to have them help her choose models at the hair spa. So Porsha, here's the thing with Porsha and Kenya. Anyone else sense that they still don't like each other, but they're getting along because production has told them, we're moving forward. No one wants to see you two fighting. It doesn't feel real to me. It feels forced. It doesn't feel like they genuinely like each other. It doesn't feel like they have anything in common. But I'm okay with it. But it definitely doesn't feel authentic. It feels like all it takes is one little thing. And look, that little thing is right now. It's Porsha on Britt Edie's post, hanging out with Britt Edie after the situation. Porsha in the post saying still, in regards to still here. So, but again, I'm not surprised because we've seen Porsha's moves. Now I'm understanding why Porsha did what she did to Nene on the set of the Upshaws. I think she was just being she didn't realize that Nene was going to be a part of this. And when she found out, she was like, I can't do it, because she's doing whatever she can for the network. So Porsha is not loyal to anyone. She's loyal to herself. Fine. Fine. As long as we know what we're dealing with. Okay. All right. Natalie says yes, forced friendship. Yeah, it didn't feel real. Even their interactions, I'm like, If anything, Kelly and Kenya's friendship felt a little bit more authentic, but again, because there is no history between them. Okay. So Porsha and Kelly have their little interaction in this scene because Kenya did not realize that they had a lunch and that they're in a good place and whatnot. All right. Kenya does say that she did not disinvite Britt to her event. Okay. Porsha confirms that Kenya disengaged at the dinner, and that that she didn't necessarily herself hear Britt's comments about a pistol. Okay. But she says that, Kenya mentioned it. And look, if we didn't have the audio, if we didn't have the video footage, it would really be just on Kenya. And a lot of people, when this rumor came out, were like, is this true? Because remember, that came out that there was some sort of pow involved. Didn't production or the network come out at the time? Or maybe they did it through the blogs and they didn't confirm themselves. I don't think they confirmed themselves. I'm trying to remember, because the situation's like a year ago. That wasn't true. Remember the rumor came out that a pow was involved, and then people were saying, oh, that wasn't true. That wasn't true. Only for us to have the video footage that was true. That was true. All right. So they have a conversation about that. Kelly says that Britt is not that person, and she hasn't seen Britt act in that manner. So Kenya is already sort of like, Kelly, I don't know what you're saying. We don't know. I don't know her. I'm going to have to do a background check on her because, and so she's foreshadowing what she's probably already started doing. The minute Britt came first, she was like, I'm going to get information on this woman. So this was the foreshadowing that Kenya was going to get information on Britt. Question, y'all. Do you think, again, I don't think Kenya should have did this at her event, but do you think if Kenya just mentioned the things that she found on Britt, it would have been okay? I'm asking a question. Do you think if Kenya didn't blow up a poster board with all of this information and she just was like, well, I heard this, I saw pictures of this, or you know what I mean? As opposed to blowing up poster boards at her event and sharing it with everyone. Because look, and then it would sort of just be fodder in regards to what she found. Because remember, Britt's herself saying, I used to be a video vixen and da-da-da-da. I'm wondering if Kenya had never actually blew up poster boards. But we know Kenya's all about the theatrics, the drum line and all of that. And I'm wondering if she not blown up actual pics, literal pics of like pornography, and shared at her event. It makes me wonder. It would have definitely been different. It would have been definitely different in regards to probably her future with the network if she didn't do that. If she had just brought it up or talked about it. But okay. Ryan says yes, the visual sent it overboard. Yeah. I just don't understand what in Kenya's mind said that she thought that this would be okay. And I know a lot of people are blaming production. I get it. Team Twirl, y'all don't want to hold your queen accountable. But at some point, you got to hold her accountable. Production does a lot of stuff. I feel like they dropped the ball in regards to the whole Brit stuff. But at what point do we hold Kenya accountable for what she did at this event, at her own event? Because everyone's saying, well, no, they think that production did this. Production went to Kinko's and had this blown up. No, they didn't. Come on. Yes, production is messy in their own way, but they also understand the space that they're dealing in. Remember, when this is happening, we're still with the whole backlash of the reality TV reckoning. They had to update their policies and procedures that were sent down from NBC Universal. Okay, so I get it. people are not happy with production, and it's easy to blame production for a lot of stuff, even though a lot of stuff that y'all blame production for, you should be blaming the network for. And production is just there to carry out what the network wants. We just have to keep that in mind. I don't believe production had anything to do with what Kenya decided to do. I really don't. I really don't. And you know I will call out production when necessary. We just did this week. We just did this week with Patrick McDonald calling out production in the network. Okay? So I just don't believe that the production had anything to do with this. I really don't. I think this was all on Kenya. I really do. But that's my opinion. Again, we will never know. I mean, I guess we will never know. All right. Moving on. So they had that conversation. They do the models situation. At first, I was sort of like, "Where's Cynthia?" Because remember, like Cynthia has done this before on the show with the models, and she's always a part of doing stuff like that. So I was surprised that Cynthia wasn't a part of this, but I think Cynthia was not in town. I don't think she said she wasn't in town. So I'm thinking that's why she was not a part of the scene. Because to me, that would have been like a natural scene for her and Kenya to have together. But I'm guessing she had just gotten to town for Kenya's event. All right. So Kenya basically gives us a foreshadowing that she's going to do a background check on Britt. And then some of you called in or sent a super chat in last week saying that it was Ming Lee who's the one who found out that information on Britt and gave that information allegedly to Kenya. We don't know. I don't know, but I do know Ming Lee was being considered at some point for this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now she's going to be on Basketball Wives with Tai Young. I'm kind of glad though Ming is not on. I'm sorry, Ming, but I'm just saying because it feels like you just wanted to be on reality television, and that's the problem with a lot of reality television. Everybody, no matter how successful they are, they want to come be on reality television. But maybe she's thinking, it's going to help her business. I don't know. But I'm like, come on. All right. Moving on. Because there's not a lot. When we talk about this episode of Atlanta, and guys, let me know in the live chat. For those that are watching on YouTube, you can vote in the live chat in regards to how you would rate this week's episode. If I had to really be honest with you in regards to rating this episode, it wasn't good. The editing this season, it seems all over the place. The storylines seem all over the place. I'm trying to find, we're in episode 5, and I'm like, I said I'm going to give it some episodes. I'm going to give the season grace because it's new people, but I'm not that invested in anyone's storyline. The only person that probably has the most interesting storyline is Shamia. I am a little interested in the Angela of it all. I think that's what, can we go to, okay, let's go to Angela. So Angela has coffee with her daughter. Apparently her mother was supposed to be at this coffee date, but Amari, her daughter, Angela's daughter, got into it with her aunt, Angela's sister, and her mother. So Amari says that they were asking me for money, and then her aunt got in her face. Angela said she didn't know about that, so she got upset with that. So there's a lot of tension when it comes to Angela's mom, who we found out in this episode. Well, we found out before that her mom is bipolar, and Angela says, her mom says that she's now healed from that, and she says she's actually happy that her mom is saying that because for a long time her mom used her disorder as a crutch. But Angela feels a loyalty to her mom because her grandmother who helped raise her told her to take care of her mom. So she it's almost like a candy of it all, but different in regards to her allegiance to her mother. But Amari is like, yeah, auntie got in my face, and because she wanted to use the car. And mind you, Angela is taking care. The house that all 3 of them were living in is owned by Angela. The car is owned by Angela. So Angela's taking care of everyone. And Amari is sort of like, I don't understand why you're taking care of these people, especially after how they've treated me. Amari, I'm looking at you with a side eye because I think you're a little manipulative too. Again, we don't know the side of Angela's mom and sister in regards to that. family situations are complicated. It sounds like she has a very complicated situation because remember the mother and the sister do not get along with Charles Oakley either. Okay. So we then find out that Amari, 24-year-old, got married, and she's been married for 4 months, and Angela didn't know. Remember, Angela says that Amari's her best friend. So she's really hurt by that. So she gets emotional about that. And now Amari starts crying too. And she's just like, it's like y'all beating up on me. And then when she starts crying, Angela's like, calm down. It's all right. It was a little manipulative because those tears dried up real quick. I was like, okay, Amari. It felt a little manipulative. I was like, okay, I got my eye on you, Amari. Okay. Always Priceless says that, oh, I lost your comment. Where did it go? Oh, here it goes. Where's Amari's car? Why does she need the car? Why were they all living together? Well, that's a question for Angela. I don't know. Angela is taking care of her mother. She says that, that's a goal of a child today. And a lot of people can relate to that, to be able to take care of your parents like they took care of you. Angela's mom, not so much, but she feels a loyalty to taking care of her because of her grandmother. Her grandmother told her to take care of her mother. All right. Kayla says Phaedra's going to give us nothing. I agree, especially because she comes in during the cash trip. So the last 2 weeks of the season. And she's a full-timer. I don't get that, but okay. But I guess we'll get there when we get there. I don't know. Okay. So, that scene in regards to Angela and her daughter, apparently there's issues between her daughter and her sister and her mother. Then we find out that Amari got married. I'm like, it feels so open-ended. Okay, so you got married to who? Who's this guy? And why are you not living with him? Or are you living with him? It's weird. And why wouldn't you tell your mother if you guys are best friends? And why didn't you tell your mother that you got married? And you've been married for 4 months. It's something, I don't know if it's editing. I don't know if it's people being dishonest. But okay. Okay. And then Amari tried to switch it up on Angela, and it worked, clearly. She starts crying. And then we completely stop talking about the whole marriage. Who was this man? Layla on TikTok says something is off, right? Something's off. I don't know what it is. Fallen Star says this was an unnecessary scene. This might be an unnecessary season. Okay. All right. Let's move on because I do want to get. I think I want more so to have a conversation with the callers and the live chat as opposed to talking about these non-scenes. To be honest with you. All right. So Britt and Porsha meet for lunch, and I have to say, Porsha in this lunch made a lot of sense. If anything, she sounded mature in this conversation with Britt. So Britt says that that she took it too far with Kenya, that she's hoping that they can move forward and move on. Porsha says that she was surprised because she thought that her and Kenya were cool because when she met Britt, she was sitting right next to Kenya. Yeah, we all thought not that they were cool, but we didn't think that there was an issue. There wasn't an issue. Britt made it an issue. There wasn't an issue. What was the issue, Britt? The issue is in your head, which is actually more concerning for me. There's something going on from episode 1, and I don't know if you were just trying to have a moment so that you would guarantee camera time, or because remember when the incident happened, Britt was on social media claiming that she was being hazed. Do I have the little thing here still? Let me see. I don't know if I still have it here. Hold on. I don't remember if I still have it. That was what Kenya said. Let me see. Oh, wait, here it is. This is where she denied, in her Instagram story, where she denied even owning, once had possession of any weapon or threatened anyone. Then she went on to say that she felt like the women were hazing, well, that Kenya was hazing her. And I was like, okay, based off of our history with Kenya, we weren't shocked by that. We were like, okay. But then based on what we've seen, That's not what happened. That's not what happened. But okay. Okay. Um, so they have a conversation about that. Portia says that she was surprised because she thought that they were fine. There wasn't an issue. Okay. Britt says that she feels like Kenya puts on when she's around the group. I feel like I'm missing something. What do you mean Kenya's putting on? What would Kenya need to put on for? You guys aren't friends. You guys aren't friends. That's why I felt in the top of the season, if you've seen our recaps or episode 1, I was like, were they filming before this? Were there scenes with Kenya and Britt that we didn't see? Only for us to find out that no, there wasn't. Everything that Britt kept on bringing up was from Shamia's birthday party. That was it. But Britt, in this conversation with Porsha, she's like, she feels like Kenya puts on in front of the group. Maybe the voices in your head are saying that. I'm just asking because that's the vibe I'm getting. What? Okay. She claims that Kenya's different in front of the group than when they're one-on-one. I've only seen we haven't even seen a one-on-one with you and Kenya. It's always group scenes. Maybe there was a one-on-one. Maybe there was something that we're missing. I don't see it. I don't see it. All right. So then Britt again in this conversation with Porsha brings up the wedding band comment. Oh God. Okay. She brings up the wedding band. I was like, okay, maybe in this moment we're going to finally get to the root of why Britt doesn't like Kenya, or there is an issue. Maybe there was something else that Kenya did or said. She brings up the wedding band comment again. Brings up the wedding band comment again. All right. Portia says that Kenya heard. Oh wait, we already talked about that. Oh no, Portia brings up the pistol comment. So Britt is clearly has been spoken to about the comment. So she's trying to clean up in these multiple scenes that was wrong. I should have never said that. I was, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not that person. Blah 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 blah. Okay. All right. You're not that person. And look, people get caught up, people get heated. I don't understand why you got that heated. Based off your interaction with Kenya, it didn't require that energy at all. Because unless there's more of that scene that we missed, it seemed as if Kenya really she engaged with you for a little bit and then she disengaged. And the minute she disengaged, you went off your rocker. I don't understand why. It didn't make sense. It gave unhinged, to be honest. It didn't make sense. So Portia brings that up. Britt, again, is trying to be very apologetic. Let's get to Angela and Charles at home. Charles, I have to say, I was referring to you as the Todd father. Now you just seem miserable. The way he constantly is dragging Angela. And again, we're only seeing a screenshot of their relationship. She seems very humored by him. And part of me sort of like, is it humored or is it low self-esteem? Because now I'm sort of like, I'm trying to see, and again, we're only seeing a snapshot of their relationship. But I have to say, in this episode, I was like, okay, this is all well and cute. Are there ever any sweet moments with you and Charles? Ever? So Angela decides to bring up Portia's comment. I do find it interesting that Portia's bringing up Charles. And look, I think Angela brings it up because Angela is insecure. Remember, there's a story out there from Wendy Williams years back claiming that Angela Oakley admitted to her that there was a side baby situation. Angela has said on social media that's not true. She's been in the comment section saying that's not true. Y'all all going to be surprised when y'all find out was it Charles Oakley Jr.'s age. So it's not true. We also know that at the beginning of the relationship, she claims the Madison Square Garden debacle caused them to live separately for a period of time. Is that when he had the child? Look, At the end of the day, I wish people that come on these reality shows that want to share their lives stop playing the audience for idiots. Be honest. If you're going to do reality television, be honest about what it is. Like, we had some infidelity in the beginning of our relationship. It is what it is. Okay? Just leave it there. But no, we're seeing scene after scene. Angela, you going through it though, girl. Angela got the every time you see Angela, she's got the little thing. Oh, damn, I just broke this thing. Angela's doing with the her felt like, oh, she going through it over there with the heat. All right. Yeah, Stacey says that Charles Oakley seems uninterested in his wife. That's the vibe I'm getting too. And I've been sort of like, well, no, I don't know if I believe that, but this is the second week, and I'm just like, not the second week, this is the fifth week. The fifth week, and I'm like, is he interested in her at all? Sass says, I know it's menopause, but don't you notice how every time she pulls it out, they're zooming in on her fan? Andy mentioned it when she was on Watch What Happens Live as well, and I was like, oh, wait, I'm noticing it more and more and more. Okay. Tracy says Angela's definitely lying because why are we having a surprise for Charles Jr.'s age? I just need her to own it. So she brings up what Porsha mentions in regards to having tea on Charles Oakley, and he's just like, Charles is definitely giving Peter Thomas vibes because it looked like he's ready to argue with Porsha. He's just like, oh, is she the feds? And I think Angela's bringing it up again because it was said on camera, so she needs to let him know. But also, I think there's a little insecurity because of infidelity that's happened in their relationship, allegedly. So I'm thinking that's part of the reason why Angela even mentions it to him. So they go downstairs, Charles loves to cook, blah, 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 whatever. Then she talks more about the issues with her mom and her sister. And then she, of course, talks about the issues that remain between Charles and the mom. Because remember, they have their own issues. So she discusses a little bit of that as well. Is the mom going to be on this season? Because we're constantly talking about her. And at this particular point, if she's not going to be on the season, y'all could stop talking about her. Just saying, to be honest with you. Okay. All right, guys, if you're just joining us, don't forget to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. Hold on, y'all. Let me just turn these things off over here. All right, don't forget, you can also hear an audio version of our live recaps and special episodes on the Kempire podcast, and join Club Kempire so that you guys can hear my recaps of The White Lotus. All right, so I will be recording the White Lotus season finale recap this week, so stay tuned for that. I might do that one live. However, I'm going to immediately put it under private once we're done doing it live. So, and then release it for our community, not our community, our Club Kempire baddies. All right, head on over to the Kempire podcast on Apple Podcasts and become one of our Club Kempire members over there. Let me say thank you because we had quite a few super chats. Thank you, Queen T, for the super chat. Britt looks like, I just want to say thank you so much, guys, for the super chats. And I'm just going to read the super chats just to save on verbiage, okay? Queen T says, Britt talks like she can't breathe through her nose. We know. Are we going to say that every single week? All right. Keith says, Britt is the reason they shouldn't do open casting calls outside of Lenox Mall. You get what you pay for. Christian says, what if Kenya planned this as an FU to production because of everything that happened with Marlo and not showing the hair spa? Britt was not the target. Maybe. I definitely think Kenya did all of this because, remember, the event that she filmed last season was never shown. This was actually filmed. This picture where we saw Cynthia was there, Sonia, Sheree, Claudia Jordan, Candy, all of them were there, and it was never shown. Remember, she was very upset about that, and that's before she signed on for season 16. And remember, she did that interview with Carlos, And I said, this vibe that she's giving in this interview seems like she might not be coming back to Real Housewives of Atlanta. And quiet as it's kept, she almost didn't come back. Word on the street. Treasure, thank you so much for this. And based off of Kenya's social media behavior, do you think it's that Kenya's done? Like completely done? I think she might be done, y'all. Not her personally. I feel like just the relationship with Bravo is done. So Treasure says, I'm so confused because Kenya said in interviews that Britt threatened her motherhood as the reason. I don't understand why she didn't let production deal with her like them deal with Porsha. I think she was using the threats of violence as her excuse, saying that she's the only person to protect Brooklyn. Remember, she said this in interviews. So, and I said back then, I was just like, okay, all right. So now you don't have this job, this good paying job, after a $400,000 investment that you lost over Britt eating. Nota Queen, thank you so much for the super chat. Kenya embarrassed herself at her own event. Amelia says Kenya could have asked Porsha and Drew to have a private conversation at her event to make her event was shown on TV, then handled Britt later. That's one way of doing it, but you saw with Porsha. Porsha did not want to have that conversation with Drew. We're gonna get to that. Amber says Kenya got away with pulling Nene's hair and Kim's chair. Kim Fields. She brings a nuclear warhead to a knife fight. Choices. Devin, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. Let me see. Amit says Team Twirl, but the only thing she did right at the opening was her looks. Stunning. That said, don't punch me in the face and expect me not to knock you out. LL Styles. But I keep telling you guys, yes, in real life, outside of the workplace, Amit, but if this happened at your job, how would you handle this? If you wanted to keep your job. It's one thing if you don't want to keep your job. Then you'll do whatever. But if you want to keep your job, how do you handle this? You don't commit a crime, right? Or do worse. Francine, thank you so much. Francine says, I love Kenya, Team Twirl, and all, but she knew better. So many things she could have done. Disinvite Britt, let her come, just kick her out, read her for filth. The list goes on. And a lot of people, including Cynthia, says, I thought she might do that. She even warned, this wasn't shown on camera. She said this on Watch What Happens Live. She even warned Britt that she might not be ready to receive your apology or your flowers, and you might get kicked out. Thank you so much. Mama Ali says, like the live, people. How many likes do we have? We have 4,000 people here and not even 1,000 likes. Ooh, keep watching though. Look, thank you, Mama Ellie. Shout out to our Kings Guards, guys. Be sure to say thank you to them. Toya says, why does Angela's husband seem so disinterested? I would be so embarrassed if I was Angela. It was so cringe. I have to say, I gave him grace in these first couple of episodes, but I'm like, okay, we're on episode 5, and there's never a sweet, warm moment between Angela and Charles. And again, we're seeing a snapshot of their lives, but at some particular snapshot, I'm going to see you loving on your wife. I haven't seen it yet, but okay. Sarah says, extra security, even metal detectors, many options in regards to Kenya's situation. First of all, she would not be invited to my event, Britt. I would not invited her to the event. Okay. I feel bad for he because he disrespects her. Charles. Okay. Miss Esquire says, please stop using your children as a sword and shield. That precious child had nothing to do with her shaming another woman so horribly. In regards to Kenya associating her trying to protect Brooklyn from Britt eating. All right. Samara says, you can't protect your daughter by engaging in revenge porn. I mean, I know when she was making those excuses during these interviews after the fact, I was like, no, no, no. And the fact that Kenya still is retweeting all this social media behavior, sharing on Instagram stories, justice for Kenya, da 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 da. It's to me, it's like, Kenya, you're not showing accountability. Yes, what Britt Edie did was wrong, but at the same time, it's almost, and I think this happens with these housewives. They let the fans blow smoke up there. You know what, and they start to believe their own hype. Kenya, you lost your good paying job because of this behavior. I understand what Britt did was wrong, and she should have been reprimanded accordingly. But what you did was not right either. It wasn't right. All right, moving on. Let me get back to the rest of this. So we have these two separate scenes. Everyone's starting to arrive at Kenya Moore's hair event. In another scene, we have Kelly and Britt in the Sprinter. All right, and so they're talking about, Britt is like, I just lost my aunt. It reminded me of my father. I'm going through a lot, and now I have this whole situation with Kenya. She's bringing flowers, and she wrote a lovely note. She says, "Fine, okay." So at Kenya's event, so Kenya's inviting everyone's arriving. Cynthia's arriving. Portia's arriving. Everyone, they're flashing to the different interviews that the housewives are doing, and they're talking, this is a long time coming for Kenya. She's worked so hard. This is such a great elevation, blah, 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 blah. All right. So beautiful. It's starting off really great. Okay. I wish we would have gotten to see the spa more. I wish we would have gotten to see some of what the services would be. And maybe they did film it and they just didn't share it because of course they're limited on time. But again, Kenya, you made this about that as opposed to about your hair spa. And I get in your head you're thinking you need to make a moment, but you get lost in your moment. You get lost in your moment. You made the moment that you were trying to make, you made it about someone else. And it should have been about your spa. Like we should have been seeing the services. I love the hair battle that they ended up doing, but that's not part of the services. Yeah, that was a great moment for hair and whatnot, but that's not one of the services at your spa. So your spa was sort of like a party, but we didn't get to see what people could get from your spa. So again, yeah, your spa was featured, but is it going to actually bring business? No, because there are all kinds of really great things that you could be providing there, but we don't know about it at all. We don't know anything about it. All right. So the women are arriving. They're showing and we're seeing some familiar faces. Miss Lawrence is there. Miss Lawrence gives flowers to, like, not just literal flowers, but says, I wouldn't be where I am today without you, Kenya. So he shares that. Kenya hosts a hair battle, which was really cool because they used some of the Kenya Moore products and things like that in a part of it. Like, it was really cool to see that. Like, I wasn't expecting that. All right. Porsha is catching up with Cynthia. Cynthia says, how are you and Drew doing? And she's like, it's still hot. At this particular point, Porsha, you're dragging this issue with Drew. Do I believe Drew was underhanded and conniving and lied? Yes. But you're dragging it. You're dragging it because we have to remember Porsha's storyline was supposed to be happily married with Simon Gobadia, and her storyline fell apart. Her storyline fell apart, so now her storyline is her. And remember, she can't film in her house. She can't film in her house right now. So literally, they could not film this entire season. It wasn't until after the season wrapped that she got access to her $7 million house with Simon. Okay, so I feel like she's dragging it with Drew. Yes, I don't think Drew is innocent. I think Drew is a liar. But at the same time, I do believe now you're dragging this so that you have some sort of storyline this season. And then you turn your storyline from Drew to Shamia. So maybe you're now dragging it with Shamia. But okay. Okay. So here's the thing. Angela comes in And Kenya says that Angela was the only person that reached out to her after the whole Britt Edie situation a couple nights before. And Angela says, I'm on your side. What, Angela, you just said you were on Britt's side just a few minutes ago. And now you're in front of Kenya and you're like, I'm on your side. Okay. Okay. All right, fine. All right. Speaking of Drew, so Drew arrives and she tries to have a conversation with Porsha. And she's again denying, I'm not dating Dennis. It's strictly business. And she says that she's tried multiple times to have a conversation with Porsha. And she says that they're both going through divorces, but she says that Porsha, you need to talk about what's really going on with you. So that was my clue. I was like, that was Drew saying, you don't want to talk about what's really going on with you. So you're making everything about this. That's nothing. That's a non-starter. That's not real. And Dennis told you about us working together. So Porsha is trying to produce because she doesn't have anything else going on. Interesting. And remember, the weight of her return is big. It's big for the network. It's big for production. It's big for Porsha. And so far, Porsha's just sort of there. And it's like, and yes, we've had some cute, funny moments with Porsha, but there's nothing personal going on with Porsha. So she's making this whole stuff with Drew. She's not wanting to have a conversation with Drew at this event. Remember, at the Beaumont event, she didn't want to talk about it then either. So when are we going to talk about this? Okay. Renee says, I believe lying, Drew.
Lies! The lie!
I'm not sure if I understand your statement, Renee. Do you believe Drew or do you believe Drew is lying? Both. Both. Okay. So Porsha ends up walking away. When Drew confronts her to have a conversation, she ends up walking away. My goodness. This is where I was sort of like, okay, Porsha. And I guess Porsha doesn't want to talk about anything this season. We already knew she didn't want to talk about how she got that man. Now she doesn't want to talk about that divorce and what's going on with that divorce. But fine. All right. Hold on, y'all. Ooh, hold on. I got it. This is the annoying thing with TikTok. Like TikTok, I'm not sitting here talking to y'all. All right. Moving on from that situation, let's talk about Britt. So Britt arrives and she tries to give Kenya flowers. As soon as Britt arrived, Kenya made a face like, Kenya, if you didn't want her there, you should have told production, I don't want her there. But we know why you wanted her there. You wanted to embarrass her with these poster boards that you had done at Kinko's. Okay. So who did Kenya actually go there and get them made herself? You know, I had questions. Did she go to Kinko? Well, probably not Kinko's. Who knows? Staples. What's open now? Where do you get? Where do you get? Oh, you can go to FedEx, right? You can get FedEx. Did she go to FedEx to get these done? And then when she got them done, I'm sure the people were like, what is this? Like, All right. So Britt tries to give Kenya flowers, and Kenya completely ignores her. All right. But this is when Kenya is just like, hey, everyone, I'd like to make an announcement. So this is where we know it's about to go down. Okay, with Kenya. So Kenya brings up, and it's clear because remember there was speculation whether or not Britt was at Kenya's event. Clearly she was there, but she did not stay long. Okay, so she ends up leaving when Kenya's like pays her dust. She ends up leaving. She's not too far. She's like down the street. Okay, so Kenya brings up what went down in regards to the other night. Okay, she says, "I'm that bitch. I've been that bitch. Still that bitch." I mean, that was a bar. Come on. It was a bar, but just wrong time, wrong place. You think I'm going to make this hair event, this hair spa, this business, a real business. This isn't just something that, we're doing for the show. This is not just me hosting a dinner. Okay? My legitimate business brick and mortar store where you can go right now and knock on the door. You think I'm gonna make that about someone else? Like even if she didn't do what she did in regards to the poster boards, the minute she started talking about what went down the night before, and you saw the woman leave, so you know she wasn't even in there, but you know you had the poster board. The minute she started making the speech, I was like cringing. I was like, first of all, why are we even talking about the night before or what went down at your event? Why are we talking about that? Why? It was weird. It was weird. I was like, okay. But remember, Kenya has said that she doesn't have a village, because if she had a village, someone in that village would be like, Kenya, no, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Cynthia says that she didn't know that Kenya was going to do this at all, because if she did, she would have told her. Bathroom Diaries. Come on, no. Never. They would have never allowed it. That poster board could have been used at the reunion. No. Look, no. So Kenya goes on the speech of what happened the night, a couple of nights before in regards to Britt Edie. And then she starts pulling out her poster boards. One of the poster boards they did blur out. It looks like it may have been like pictures of Britt from when she was younger, before she had any cosmetic surgery or whatnot. There was another poster board. Go check the video that I reposted yesterday in regards to what I did back in June. There's another poster board that said insurance fraud. So she had multiple poster boards, but then there was the poster board with the revenge P. And you hear Cynthia on the hot mic, not really, they're all mic, it wasn't a hot mic. You hear Cynthia say, confirm what we're seeing. Bravo did not show it, clearly, legal liability. Or they didn't even show you a blurred version. They didn't show you any of that. Cynthia confirms what the audience is seeing. I don't know how I would have reacted if I was at an event like this. And I would you know what I probably would have, I would have left and I would have said, this is why I stay at home. I would not expect going to a hair event, a hair spa grand opening, and someone's going to show me your cast member with a something in her mouth, a genital in the mouth. She's lucky she doesn't get sued from the people that attended. Like, I did not come for this. I did not attend this. For this? Really? I was like, okay. So Kenya is going on a tirade. And like I said, one of the poster boards says, who is this hoe? And then it's old pictures of Britt Edie. And then she pulls out that next one with I was like, what in your mind? What in your mind says that would have been okay? I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to understand what in her mind. Yes, Kenya has done theatrical things over the years, but what in her mind thought that this was okay? I don't get it. Because even the more that I try to fathom, I'm like, you thought, first of all, I just can't imagine going to Kinko's and printing a picture out like this. That, or immediately, it wouldn't happen, because I'm like, I can't fathom me getting out on the street and bringing this to someone and say, print this out for me and put it on a poster board. I just don't see it. Maybe she printed it at home. Maybe she got a printer. You know, a lot of people don't got printers. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But Britt Edie was not in the building at the time. So we start to see the rest of the cast start to react to what they're seeing. I had to watch it multiple times in regards to seeing everyone's reaction. Everyone was just like, they were clearly offended. Porsha's face was quite telling. Porsha was just like, oh no, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Mama Allie says most places won't print that. Well, we've had people that have worked at Staples weigh in when we were covering this story, and they're like, you'd be surprised what people bring and print out at these places. Yeah. But seeing the cast reaction, and I do think that Kenya crashed out. I do think in that moment when she saw everyone's reaction, meaning her cast members' reaction, and we're not also seeing production's reaction. That's the thing. Production, you should have added your reaction into the episode because everyone's reaction was like, "What am I attending?" Okay. Elijah says, Mother Angela's mouth was on the floor. Angela was like, "This was distasteful. It was hurtful." Okay. What else? Porsha says that of all, like, for all of what Kenya has tried to achieve with this brand, she says it was thrown away in this moment. Cynthia confronts Kenya and she's like, "I don't know Britt, but I know you, and I know that you are bigger and better than this." And I find it so interesting, and people are so mad at Cynthia, but I have to say, Cynthia probably is what I would have said to my friend too. I'm like, "Girl, what are you doing?" Because at the end of the day, you're $400,000 in debt in regards to this hair spa. And I know you want it featured on the show, but this is not the way to do it. Now, at the end of the scene, Bravo puts this up and they said that they stopped. They say based on Kenya's behavior, the decision was made to cease filming with her this season. So they didn't say that Kenya was fired. But again, I've told you this countless times, they're never going to say that Kenya's fired. Not in entertainment, all right? They'll say the contract wasn't renewed. This is just another way of saying that. Based on Kenya's behavior, the decision was made to cease filming with her this season. So Cynthia says that, makes her exit. Portia's outside talking to the camera. She's like, "You know what? I want y'all to pretend like I'm not even here. Take my mic. I'm done. I can't even imagine. Can you imagine you're going to this hair spa grand opening and this is what happens? Like, yes, it's Housewives and you expect all kinds of dramatic things. You probably expect someone to yell or scream or blah, blah. You might even expect a fight, like a physical fight. Hopefully not, but I think you would expect that more so than to be shown someone with something in her mouth that is pornographic. All right. We have quite a few more super chats that I want to get to. I am going to drop the call-in link first, though, for our channel members. So if you're a Royal Court member and a senior Royal, I'm going to drop the call-in link for you guys first. And I get it. Some of you are very passionate about this, but you're getting 30 seconds to share your thoughts because I already know a lot of people want to call in and share their thoughts on what's played out. But now I'm wondering, after this week's episode, what else are we going to talk about? Because based off of the entire cast, none of them are that interesting. None of them make me want to watch. I'm going forward. And this is not being team twirl. No, I'm just thinking like, okay, what are we going to talk about? We've talked about this whole Kenya situation for months and months and months. Now we've seen it. It's episode 5. What else do you have? Oh, Phaedra's coming in at the end of the season? Okay. But again, they might have more, but we'll see. That's my question. What else do we have? All right. So if you are a Royal Court member, I am dropping the call link for you guys first before we continue our conversation. Team Kempire members, I'll be dropping the call link for you guys in just a second after we read some of these super chats. Shout out to those of you watching on Twitch and Twitter, those of you watching on TikTok, those of you watching on Facebook as well. Ayana, thank you so much for the super chat. Ayana says, "Please like the video, y'all." Thank you, Ayana. Ayana probably wants to call in. Missy says, "Angela's husband must be a cold Aquarius." Do we know what Charles Oakley is? Is he an Aquarius? I feel like we looked that up. And she's a Taurus. So, let me see. Marie says, Kenya is a star. She shouldn't return to wait. Kenya is a star. She shouldn't return to this season. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if production put Britt up to act crazy. They never liked Kenya. Well, you know, I said this yesterday in regards to the whole situation because I did a video yesterday talking about Cynthia and Kenya's friendship being over. And I said to you, it's interesting to see how the network handled the Britt pistol situation and how they handled the Kenya situation. But I said to you, Kenya gave them a reason. And for me, it's more so about they probably just have been waiting for a reason to get rid of you. And you gave them the reason. And quiet as it's kept, they've been waiting for a reason. Christian, thank you so much for the super chat. Christian says, not defending Kenya's actions, but last season Marla was banging on her door. She had the altercation with Nene season 12. She got beat up by Porsha. Well, she didn't get beat up. She got dragged by Porsha. So I guess she felt unsafe, but too much is too much. Also, some people might say, if you don't feel safe with production, you don't feel safe in this environment, why return? You listed multiple examples of an unsafe work environment. Why would you return to that work environment? Not to say that it makes it okay for the work environment to be unsafe, but why would you return? Francine says, keeping Brit was a slip. Anyone notice how she was building up to the moment and taking shots before? I think she was embarrassed after all was said and done, but oh well, I still love her though. Okay. Thoughtlam says, thank you so much for super chat. Maybe at this point, Kenya just do not care. When people are fed up with being disrespected, the crash out is conscious. It's a conscious decision. Well, yeah, she printed out poster boards. Some people don't mind burning bridges. Stop acting like Bravo is the end all be all. Well, maybe because I know a lot more. Yes, I agree with you. These housewives need to stop acting like Bravo is the end all be all. And that I think what you're saying here, Thoughtlam, is that maybe Kenya knew she was burning the bridge and she is done with Bravo. No. She wants that Bravo check. She thinks by getting Team 12 riled up, it's going to secure her to bring her back for season 17. She wants to return to Real Housewives of Atlanta. She does. So we don't think Bravo is the end all be all. She does. The Jazzy says, I'm disappointed that RHOA producers continue to lower the class of the show. I cannot see a newbie threatening Giselle or Kyle with the use of a pistol and still being on the show. Kenya was wrong. I just want to correct us. Remember, production isn't hiring and firing. That is the network. Put that energy where we need to start changing our verbiage from production to the network, because production doesn't decide who's hired and fired and who gets to continue. That is the network. That is an Andy Cohen. I know he's a producer, but he's also involved in those conversations. Duchess says, Kenya subjected her guests to graphic images without their consent. You could see how visibly uncomfortable they were. What if there was a potential business partner present? Yeah, there's so Duchess, you said this perfectly, and this is exactly what I was saying too. Is like you don't come to this particular type of event for that. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let me see. Amelia says, the sad part is that Kenya genuinely believes that was an equal and appropriate reaction. You could see the rage building up in that scene. Yeah, and you can see when Shamia says in that moment, she's like, this is too far, this is too far. Kenya says to her, no, it's not too far. She threatened me with a pistol. So she feels like this is an equal justification. Bella says she had to print the pictures at home. I used to be a photo tech, and you had to throw away any nude or explicit photos automatically. That was a policy. So she DIY'd those posters. Maybe, very possible, but we've also had other people say that no, you'd be surprised at what people will print out at these places. Because also at some of these places, you're not printing it out for them. They come to these places and print it out for themselves, so they could. Christian says Kenya was lit. Did you all see them shots she took? Yeah, and they kept on showing Kenya taking shots. So maybe. Keith says Kenya gave a whole new meaning to a blowout. Okay. Ms. Esquire says, what made her think it was okay? Every boundary she was allowed to push without consequence. What gets rewarded gets repeated. She runs into a boundary she didn't know existed for her behavior. So Miss Esquire is basically saying that there have been examples of Kenya pushing that limit for years and it's never been checked. And so, and we've seen this, we've talked about this before with other housewives, other reality shows where bad behavior is continuously rewarded. So it just keeps going. The elevation keeps going up, up, and up, and up. All right. Samira says Cynthia is also a mother to a daughter. She can't co-sign this BS. I mean, so is Kenya, though. Jason says, I feel as though. Wait, sidebar. Did you guys see when Kelly left? Because Kelly was visibly upset. First of all, before even Kenya started her presentation, she said, get these flowers out of here. And Kelly tried to grab the note. She's like, oh, let's grab the note. She's like, I don't want that note. You can get rid of that note. All right. Kelly, when she sees the poster board, she ends up believing. She's like, oh, we all have been a hoe at one point. Kelly, speak for yourself. We all been a hoe at some point. Look, yeah, okay. What? Jason says, I feel as though Kenya did this to show her frustration with production. She needs to clock out. Naza says, I honestly feel like Kenya was embarrassed once some of the ladies expressed their shock. Naza, you didn't see my tweet because I literally said this last night on Twitter. I said, I think Kenya miscalculated. And when she saw everyone's reaction, she felt like she had to justify, well, I was threatened. But I could visibly tell she was like, oh, damn, did I go too far? Thank you, NASA. Kayla says, don't understand Kenya claiming to be threatened, afraid for her life. If that was the case, why ever would she go that low? Guess she's bulletproof. Paige, thank you so much for the super chat. Paige says, I would have loved to see Nene's reaction as a cast member. It would have been interesting and more entertaining than the new cast. Yeah, I mean, you can't deny that with Nene. Zoe, thank you so much. Zoe says, I saw her taking shots, so I thought she was gaining strength to destroy Britt and courage to go low. It was sad to watch. It definitely was. And I feel like the people that are not holding Kenya accountable are not her friends. They're not. You can't be friends with someone and say that this is okay. And I get it. Some people will say, and I'm always going to repeat this to you guys for those that keep forgetting, this is still a work environment. You can't do this type of behavior in a work environment. It's one thing if you're on the street. And still, there are ramifications for behavior on the street. If someone did you dirty and you decide to attack them on the street, you could still get in trouble. You could still be sued. You could still be arrested. We have to remember, but more importantly, this is a work environment. Would you do this at your place of work? And some of you might say yes, and then you probably would lose your job. Okay. Joyce says, Britt, hold on, Joyce. Let me bring your super chat up. Joyce says Britt wanted a moment and was doing too much. However, Kenya was thinking with her emotions instead of her head. She had touch to lose. She had too much to lose. $400,000. Yeah. Shirley says, what they did to Nene, they are doing to Kenya. Porsha is next. They edit in Britt's apology. Okay. Nasilia says 2025, you can print online and have it sent to your home. Okay. I love that this is a conversation that we're having. Like, damn. All right. Precious says, Kelly just posted that she regrets defending Britt. Thank you, Precious, for the update. I mean, she said that in multiple interviews. She said her experience with Kenya hasn't been that. Look, I get it. In the moment, you're coming in with very little history with both people. So I don't blame her for having Britt's back in that particular moment. Because remember, she also says she didn't hear Britt talk about the whips and the pistols and things like that. Remember, if you see that scene, Kelly's too busy being loud and like, ha, like go back and watch that scene. So I can see where she probably did not see or hear what Britt was saying. But Britt, I don't understand why Kelly would be like, like all of this when Britt is clearly upset and angry and saying all this stuff. But again, I wasn't there. All right. Live chat. I'm not the live chat. Team Kempire members, I've dropped the call-in link for you guys as well for those that want to call in and share your thoughts. I'm giving 30 seconds to our members to call in and share their thoughts. Live chat, we have how many of y'all watching? 4,400 of you watching. Let's get to 2,000 likes and I will drop the call-in link for the live chat. All right. Jackie, thank you so much for the super chat. Jackie says, why Aquarius got to take Charles? Is Charles an Aquarius? I can't remember. I know people said that a little bit earlier. All right. Just a reminder, guys, the opinions of the callers do not represent the opinions of myself, the Kempire LLC, our sponsors, blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right. The disclaimer will be below. But before we get onto the disclaimer, let me read to you what Kenya has had to say in regards to the episode. So this is sort of like her goodbye because she knows we're not going to see her for the rest of the season. We're probably not going to see her on the after show. Remember we speculated that. We're not going to see her at the after show. Now, I don't think we're going to see her at the reunion. Because again, I don't think she's in a good place with the network. And I don't think her recent social media behavior is something that the network endorses. So this is what Kenya said on her social media in regards to what we watched. Kenya says, you have been my besties for the last 12 years, and I love and appreciate you so much. Last year, you cried with me when all of the hard work from the salon was cut by production, and none of it was shown. Let me just remind you. This is what she's talking about, okay? She says, I want to thank all of my friends who showed up for me and who support me on a regular basis, who love me down. Miss Lawrence, thank you for gracing us all with your presence. You are a star. I hope to turn our segment into a TV show, God willing. Special thanks to my event planner, Events by Monet, who always throw the most stunning events. Thank you to the gorgeous models who helped make Kenya Moore Hair Care so iconic. She says, to the cast of RHOA Season 16, I wish you all an incredible season. To my friends and family, thanks for loving me, flaws and all. Thank you to all of the stunning women who have patronized Kenya Moore Hair Spa. I love making you look beautiful. Love and blessings to all. Prayer hand emoji, high five emoji, tornado, team twirl emoji, I guess. All right. So that was Kenya's message to the fans, along with some of the reposts that she was reposting. She even reposted a clip where Nene was talking about Cynthia not being a great friend, a disloyal friend. She even retweeted that. So there's been a lot of social media behavior. All right. So before we get to our callers, I'm going to prioritize our super chats. We appreciate the super chats, guys. We appreciate those of you. I just saw that we got a bunch of Cash Apps, Venmos, PayPals. We appreciate that support. We also appreciate those of you that have been buying some of our merch from our merch store. So be sure to check that out at houseofkempire.com or just check out the description for more details on how you can get a Kempire tee or a Kempire House of Kempire hat. All that information is available on our in our description. All right, Keisha says, part of the issue is that these TV shows have not been thought of as a work environment in the past. Casts take it as acting how they would be in real life. Agreed. But in 2025, especially with everything that's happened, they should know and they should be reminded. They were definitely reminded after this. Asia says, Kenya shouldn't come back. She's team to wait. She team twirl. Please stop blaming everyone except. Oh wait, I think you're saying team twirls. Please stop blaming everyone except her. In the UK, Revenge P carries a prison sentence. Fired is better. Thank you, Asia, for the super chat. We appreciate the support. Again, guys, let's get to 2,000 likes. We have over 4,000 of you here, and we appreciate you all being here for our weekly recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It will be interesting to see what is left after this week's episode. For those that are part of the replay, be sure to let us know your thoughts and opinions on this week's episode. I will say this, we've had so many different recaps, a lot of controversy in some of the scenes and seasons of these different shows. And sometimes those are actually interesting and great to recap. I have to say, I haven't had fun recapping this episode. I haven't. I'm just like, oh yeah, I gotta go point this. This is what happened. I haven't had fun talking about it, but it's all right. Maybe I'll have some fun with the callers. All right, callers, please respect the time. The callers will not use profanity, derogatory statements. They will respect the timer. If they do not, they will be dropped immediately. All right, all right. Let's get to the callers. And if you're a member of the channel, I've dropped the call in link on the post app. And callers, please drop out so that we're able to get more people into the backspace here. All right, Miss Esquire's backstage. We're going to bring Miss Esquire up first. Miss Esquire, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire.
Hey.
I just want to share, after 12 years, Kenya still has not realized how to use her pain for purpose. And it's so sad to see her go out like this, because here's an alternate reality. This happens. You apologize profusely. You apologize to production. You apologize to your castmates. You still get kicked off. You use your pre-show PR to continue to apologize, place your actions in context, and you allow this season to go on. And again, you say why you did what you did. You use your vulnerability. You were scared. You didn't want your business to fail, blah, 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 blah. And then you do a production deal with this same company to have your spa be like the new Vanderpump Rules.
Okay.
That's what you could have done, baby.
Okay. Thanks, Miss Esquire.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, she got a whole plan. All right. Let's bring up Cynthia next. Cynthia, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine, Kempire. You know what? Honestly, I'm not a Kenya stan, but I really feel bad for her. She went too far. She really, really went too far. Yeah. I feel bad for her daughter. She does. I don't think she has a lot of stuff going on. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. But I mean, she really should have done what she did. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thanks, good luck Cynthia. To her.
Thanks, Cynthia.
You're welcome, Kempire.
Cynthia did that in like 20 seconds. I love it. All right. Miss Brooklyn Diamond's backstage. We're going to bring Miss Brooklyn Diamond up next. Miss Brooklyn Diamond, what did you want to share? Miss Brooklyn?
Hi. One for Charles Oakley. I think he just doesn't like filming, and maybe just doing it for his wife, and that's why he comes across the way he does. As my grandma would say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I don't know what production did behind the scenes concerning Britt. I'm assuming that a conversation must have been had, and if it wasn't, then Kenya had a reason to go to production and say, no, y'all need to handle this. This woman I don't want her around, and all of that. To do what she did and then call yourself a girl's girl, I don't care what what people say. And even if she had physically threatened her, then you take it to the courts and you take it to the law. You don't put that kind of material out there in a public space. Yeah. It was just wrong.
Yeah. Thanks, Ms. Brooklyn. All right, Brandy's backstage. We're going to bring Brandy up next. Brandy, what did you want to share? Brandy, you're muted. Brandy Janae. Brandy, we can hear you. All right, we're going to drop you, Brandy. All right, O'Shea's backstage. O'Shea, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire. I just wanted to say this is the same type of mentality that took Karen down. The fans gassing you all up, thinking you can come here and do as you all please. It's just a mess. And if Kenya wasn't doing all that she's doing now, I think the relationship could have been salvaged. Britt is not going to last till next season, and she definitely is not coming back the following season. And I think she could have came back. I mean, Phaedra came back, but like doing all of this is just because she's too gassed up by the fans, and she thinks she's untouchable. Ma'am, you need a job. That's not 3 days a week. But yeah, but thanks.
Thanks, O'Shea. All right, Brandy, are you there? Brandy, testing 1, 2, 3. Nope. All right. All right, Chef Lorraine's backstage. Chef Lorraine, what did you want to share?
Hello, Kempire. How are you, my dear?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm gonna try and make it fast. Okay. The only thing I liked about Kenya was her role in Deliver Us from Eva. Kenya is a whole 17 years older than Britt, who seems to have a spoiled brat syndrome. Kenya should have went to production before making a fool out of herself. And the guests, and I'm not talking about her castmates, but the guests were really appalled and disgusted. And a lot of them left. And it's sad, because she could use that to really start a franchise, and now she don't have people standing outside her door like she wanted. Like she doesn't get that many clients as she thought she would because of this. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry I went over. Love you. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Lorraine. Bye. Miss Bernice is backstage. We're going to bring Miss Bernice up next. Miss Bernice, what did you want to share?
What up, though, Kempire? What up, though?
Hey.
I don't agree with what Kenya did,
Mm-hmm.
but how do Brit go around apologizing to everybody around Kenya instead of directly going to Kenya and saying, "I'm sorry, we need to meet up to talk this out"?
Mm-hmm.
And then now you got all these things going on in your life to get everybody to feel sorry for you, but you initiated all of this. She called you a peasant. If it doesn't apply, let it fly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Miss
Love you.
Bernice.
Bye bye.
Take care. All right. Noda Queen's backstage. We're gonna bring Noda Queen up next. Noda Queen, what's going on? What you want to share?
Hey, Kempire, how you
Hey. Alma,
doing?
how are you?
Good. First of all, I think Kenya's whole rant was so pathetic. It was actually really sad to watch
Mm.
because she just ruined her whole event, making it all about nonsense, ultimately nonsense. If you're so afraid of the whips and chains, you don't do things like that. Because what if she does pull out the whips and chains when she stays and actually sees the pictures? But also, if she did pull out the whips and chains, I would still say that's on production for not properly handling it. But it's two wrongs don't make a right. Ultimately, I also feel for fear for Angela and Charles. I don't see them surviving this show. They
Mm.
already have outside problems
Mm.
outside of the show, and she's already struggling with the microscope with the side baby potentially and all that. So
Mm.
it's a little spooky ooky, but that's all I have. Have a good
Thanks.
one.
Thanks, Noda Queen. Bye. She said spooky ooky. All right, Lee, thank you so much for the super chat. Lee says, I'm confused. Kenya said that she was going to pay Britt Dust. Then she did this. I do not believe Kenya felt threatened. If so, Britt would have been banned from the Kenya Moore spa. Points. Definitely points. Nasilia says, I love, oh, hold on. There we go. I love Kenya, but ditto what Miss Esquire said. I think that's what it is. I think Kenya doesn't have enough of the people that are in the chat saying, I love Kenya, but this was wrong. This was the wrong road. And even if she did, she probably wouldn't have listened to them. All right. All right. Devin is backstage. We're going to bring Devin up next. Hold on. Devin, what do you want to share?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. There we go.
Okay. I am so glad to finally get through. I hated this season, the entire season. I thought the new girls were boring. They really didn't have a story. Britt was coming for Kenya all season. It was really stupid. I think production had a lot more hands in it. I don't know if they'll come clean with the investigation, but that's just my feeling. And I think that's why Britt was going on her little apology tour. I think they need to go back and recast because I'm tired of all of them. They're just, yeah, I'm done. I'm checked out unless they recast.
Okay, and Devin, you made it seem like the 5 episodes was the entire season, but I guess I understand why now because you're done. Thanks, Devin. Have a great day.
Okay, thanks.
Devin was just like, this entire season. I'm like, wait a second, we're only on episode 5. All right, Winter's backstage. Winter, what did you want to share?
So my thoughts are, I just feel like Kenya lost sight of what was important. And in the other episode, when she was like showing her salon, she was telling Kelly, like, I put all this college money and all these things into this. It's a huge investment. I think that you let your pride get in the way of what's important. You should have been focused on I was about to say Winter, which is my daughter, but you should have been focused on Brooklyn and her future. Like, that was such a beautiful opening and you just killed it. It had nothing to do with Brit. It was just like that was it ruined the whole moment. That's all I had to say.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, Winter. All right. So we're going to bring up Dalen next. Dalen, what did you want to share?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. What's going on?
I just want to say that I didn't watch the episode, but I saw the clips. I just want to say that Kenya is just a reactive person, and I just feel like she reacted in the wrong environment because the way she responded is something you do when you have a Twitter beef with someone with those type of explicit photos. So there's a time and place for that. But and I also used to like have trouble with time and place responding personally. So when you learn to do that, you learn to let things go and and remember that vengeance is the Lord's.
Oh.
And that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Aylin. Bye.
Thank you.
Woo! A word on this on this Monday. Guys, you're just joining us. Don't forget to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. We're talking about the latest episode of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. My question to the audience, though, I saw some people say that they're pretty much done for the season. The ratings have been dropping every single week. Are you done for the season? Are you not going to be watching? We'll watch your recaps, Kempire. You know what I have to watch? Lord. Amit, thank you so much for the super chat. Amit says Porsha and Phaedra did worse to Candy. Okay. I mean, I don't think anyone would argue that. I don't know if I would say worse. I think bad. Both were bad. I don't know if I could say worse or not. Jennifer, thank you so much for the generous super. Let me shimmy, Jennifer. Look, I think I need to twerk too for that one. Look, I mean, not twerk too much. Jennifer says, just watching the live to see if the episode is worth the watch. Thanks for what you do. Jennifer, thank you for being a member, and thank you so much for your generous super chat. We appreciate the support. All right, we have a long line of people backstage, but we're almost at 2,000 likes. Once we get to 2,000 likes, I will drop the call link for our general audience as well. Myra says, I'll be watching the recaps, Kempire. I hope the rest of the season's worth it, because based off of this new cast, it's not enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm excited. Okay. Winter says that I'm not fully done because I like Kelly. I think Kelly definitely has a lot of potential, especially her story, her personality. But okay, let me get, because we have a long line. Okay, Toya's backstage. Let's bring Toya up next. Toya, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire, how are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm good. I think you're right that Britt is the least most interesting new girl on the show. And if they're going to let somebody go, I think both Kenya and Britt should be let go. Um, Also, Kenya should not have done that at her event. It just really ruined the purpose of the event. But then bringing Phaedra back for letting her go for what she did years ago and letting Kenya go, I mean, the irony is there. Also, Angela, she has an interesting relationship with the truth. Your daughter can't be your best friend if she didn't tell you that she got married.
For 4 months.
Right. Thanks, Kempire. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Toya. All right, Tyler's backstage. Let's bring Tyler up next. Tyler, what's going on? What did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. Porsha is giving friend of the show. Like, why is she there? Because she's doing nothing. Secondly, Kenya, let me say this. That's why production did the cast wrong. There should have been more seasoned girls there because a person like Nene or Sheree probably would have stopped it once they seen her trying to grab that last slide. The thing is that just shows you Porsha cannot anchor a show at all. At all, because Nene and them would have stopped Kenya. Nene probably would have went up and said, "Girl, now you tripping," and grabbed it. But that's all.
Thanks, Tyler. Woo. All right. It makes me wonder though after this season, because I definitely look, we know streaming is taking over, and that's why you're seeing across the board ratings dropping, live ratings dropping. But it's kind of weird that we're seeing with Real Housewives of Atlanta, we're seeing the demo drop too for like a series low, and the ratings. Like every week, the rating is getting lower and lower. And now after this week, okay. All right, let's bring up Tanya next. Tanya, what did you want to share?
Hi, happy Monday, Kim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me make it short. Porsha refusing to discuss this issue with you on camera. Please set me free from that storyline. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Kenya was 100% wrong for using sexual harassment in the workplace to go against a co-worker or a colleague that threatened them with physical violence. In my opinion, they both should be fired. I don't want to talk about it anymore. And Cynthia, get behind me. Kempire, if you could be so kind. She needs to get behind me, because if you are a real friend to anyone, you will call them out. She did nothing wrong. She told Kenya, I will talk to you later about it, and I'm going to stand on that. Bye, Kempire.
Thank you, Tanya. All right. Keisha's backstage. We're going to bring Keisha up next. Keisha, what did you want to share?
Hello, Kempire. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone in the chat. Okay, so I pretty much agree with everyone what they're saying about Kenya. For one, I'm not understanding really why Britt has so much energy for Kenya. I literally had to like rewind. I'm like, am I missing something? The edits are not editing. I'm not understanding. And Kenya, I'm not a stan for Kenya. I mean, I do appreciate her now since she's post marriage and baby and everything. But girl, do not say anything else is for Brooklyn because you did not have Brooklyn in mind when you brung out those poster boards. That was absolutely unacceptable. And there was somebody, a part of your team that should have stopped you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Elijah's backstage. We're going to bring Elijah up next. Elijah, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
I wanted to say that for me personally, like, I know Kenya, I would say this right now, Kenya was not right. But what I don't understand, if it was a work environment, why didn't Britt get any type of punishment? I don't think her punishment should have been just to apologize. Like, we knew there was an investigation about Kenya's husband, not Britt. Like, I don't think you can dislike someone so far to not actually do proper investigation, And not only that, Kenya wasn't lying about who Britt is, because I seen a video of her. She is, like, she is, I believe what Kenya was saying she is. So to me, I feel like Kenya was like, I don't think Kenya was scared. I think her mindset was like, I'm going to show people who you really are. But it still wasn't right. I just wish Kenya didn't get the boot.
Okay. Thanks, Elijah. All right. Zoe's backstage. We bring Zoe up next. Zoe, what did you want to share?
As a Gemini, this is what I would have done. One, Kenya needs to read the book of Art of War. She was too focused on short-term pleasure and not the long-term longevity. Two, if I was production, I would have pulled both girls aside and say no more physical violence, no more revenge, whatever, but we're gonna resolve this on camera to make a good flipping show. Using Kenya for the first 5 episodes and then cutting her out, that was not smart. And where I'm from, if you threaten a pow, you better be ready to pull it out because you will never be able to say that word again without people going wow waste on you. And if you wanna go low, let's go to the Trust of Hell, document it, make one a hell of a good season. Okay. That's me, Gemini style.
Okay, thanks, Zoe. All right, Brandy's backstage. We're going to bring Brandy up next. Brandy, what did you want to share? Oh, Brandy, we're trying again. You're muted.
I'm sorry, Kempire.
What's going on, Brandy?
I'm back. Okay, so let me be really quick. I'm not out for the season. I'm a reality TV buff, so I'll be watching all season, even though the season is a little slow, but I'm excited. However, I think Angela and Charles is giving me Kelsey and Camille Grammer. I think he's just there to get her alone, and he does not plan to be there very long. As far as Kenya and Britt, I think that Britt clearly has pissed off a couple of her other castmates at this point, as we can see from the interviews. But I think Kenya just got way ahead of herself. Again, she's used to pulling those antics, and I don't think she thought she would get that type of backlash. But I really feel sad for her because this was her time to really shine. She was showing us a different side, and I can't believe I would say I was really here for it, even though I don't like Kenya. Okay. But I was liking to see that nice side of her. Anyway, thanks for doing.
Thanks, Brandy. All right, we have Daff backstage. We're going to bring Daff up next. Daff, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
First off, Ju graduated with a PhD from Ralph's Gaslighting Academy because she totally gaslighted everything. I see that Angela, love her, but she's the twerk champion now on Bravo. and also quickly, Kenya, she clearly still has anger issues that she needs to work through because she still retaliates in an immature way. And I love her, but unfortunately it's hurting her. And with Britt now, I realize she's very insecure. All that, like when growing up, I would say conceited people are insecure. It's true. She's overcompensating. And she has such a good story of why she is where she is because of her background and all that video vixen stuff and everything. That's fine. But focus on your business and your family and where you're going. And, unfortunately, she turned us off.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Thanks, Daff. All right, we have Josie backstage. We're going to bring Josie up next. Josie, what did you want to share? What?
I'm literally on a call with a customer right now. Just put them on mute for a quick second.
Oh, okay. Look, you don't tell me twice. All right, Amina's backstage. Amina, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. How are you?
Well, how are you?
I agree with what most of the callers are saying. It really made me sad to see Kenya go out like that. Britt is a weirdo, but my take on their relationship is like when I watch them, it's like watching the black version of Whitney and Lisa from Salt Lake City. Like Brittany is obsessed with Kenya the same way Whitney is obsessed with Lisa because she's so insecure, and this lady represents everything that she isn't. So she's triggered by every single word that comes out of her mouth. That's what I was seeing. And also, I'm not going to be like, this is the end for me because I'm Team 12. And what am I going to watch after this? Shamia twerking and Phaedra lying. Like, no, it's okay. I'm going to bow out. I'll just watch your recaps and you can suffer on my behalf.
Oh, Amina. Damn. Thanks, Amina. Bye. Really? At least she admitted it, though. Some of y'all won't admit that. Okay, Toya's backstage. Toya, hold on. Toya, there we go. What's going on, Toya?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
So first, I just want to say I like Kelly. She's starting to grow on me, so I'm gonna keep watching for her.
Okay.
As far as the Kenya situation, Kenya had to grow on me because when she first came on the show, I really didn't like her. But it just makes me sad that she allowed what was supposed to be an important moment, and she turned it into something else. And I was just kind of like disappointed in her. And, it is what it is. Like you said, this is her work environment. How would you handle it if you was at work? It was just way, way, way too much. Yeah. And that's all I have to say. Oh, one last thing. Do you remember when Nene said that if Kenya stayed on the show, that she would be the downfall of the show?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that now that this is happening? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. Because Kenya's been a part of the show for how many years at this particular point? I don't think if anything, I think we give these reality TV stars too much power when you don't realize it's more so the network that's doing it.
That's true. Well, thank you, Kempire. Bye.
Bye. All right. Pageant Mommy's backstage. Pageant Mommy, what did you want to share?
Hi, just really quickly. I mean, listen, Kenya doubled down on her social media post. She still did not take accountability, and she could have very well said, listen, the way things the outcome, I should not have done that. I did, feel threatened by what this woman said, but I should not have done it this way. I mean, she could have taken accountability, and she still didn't double down. And what people need to also remember is she's out for this season, maybe a couple more, and they'll perhaps bring her back like they did Phaedra. I mean, the vitriol against Phaedra and Porsha, I mean, it's the same thing. They'll bring her back. She didn't die. The woman is still alive, and y'all can go twirl somewhere else. But, let's just, these are human beings. The fanaticism of it is really very interesting to me. But have a wonderful day, y'all.
I agree. Thanks, Patrick Bobby. All right, Kathy's backstage. We're going to bring Kathy up next. Kathy, what did you want to share?
Hi. So I stopped watching the Atlanta Housewives. I watched the first episode, didn't like it. I watched this episode. And I have to say, I never was a fan of Kenya. I do feel like her and Porsha kind of ruined the show, like Atlanta Housewives. And I feel like, on the flip side, I'm sad that she lost her check. But on the other side, I feel like she get what she deserves. Kenya needs to grow up. She has bullied a lot of cast members, and she gets what she deserves. That's how I feel. I really wish that she'd done things differently and learned from her experiences, but she keep on harassing people. So it is what it is. Okay. So that's it. Have a good day.
You too, Kathy. Bye. Bye. All right. We have a long line of shout out to our live chat members. I did drop the call-in link for our live chat already. Ali, thank you so much for the super chat. Ali says on Andy's podcast, he didn't take what Britt did seriously, and that's a problem. He doesn't take the threats against Black women seriously. If Erica did the same to Kyle, he would respond differently. I haven't, we've been live, so I haven't seen it. So I'm sure after this, I'll see a clip of what he may have said in regards to the Britt Edie situation. Wait, let me see if it's posted anywhere. If anything, I'll check it out later. If anything, so I mean, I'm not surprised if that is the case. I'm not surprised based off what we've seen in episode 4 and episode 5 that they did not take Britt Edie's comments seriously. Noda Queen, thank you so much for super chat. Noda Queen says, I'll probably only watch your recaps like I did for Potomac. Well, I guess I appreciate that. Angelique says, thank you from production. I was crew, art department, and EP and PA on reality shows a long time. We do not interfere. Art department may have printed for her though. Stop it, Angelique. You know that did not happen. Don't throw the art department under the bus. I don't believe they did that. Satra, thank you so much. Satra says, hold up. Satra says, it was a plan. Kelly goes after Porsha, Britt after Ken, but Porsha and Kelly kept it cute. Britt was drunk at the bank, Ken drunk at the spa. Zoe, thank you so much for another super chat. Zoe says Britt and Kenya are making the show. Both wrong, so let's keep following. Firing one and both ruined the show. Or wait, firing one or both ruined the show. Finish it with the cameras and fire after. Okay. All right. Let's get to the rest of these calls. Anthony's backstage. Let's bring Anthony up. Anthony, what did you want to share?
Hey everyone, Anthony from Los Angeles, California. How are you, Kempire?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So I'm gonna give this episode a 7 out of 10. To me, this shows how Bravo, the network, and production works. If you use your words like what Britt did about the pistols, that's fine. But if you did what Kenya did and actually show it, that's wrong. To me, they're both in the wrong, and they both should have been let go. Because to me, they are both. It's just incorrect. That's just foul. So I'm not understanding why Kenya was the only one to be let go. They both should have just left, even though this is like early in production. So I don't get it, especially now that you're bringing back Phaedra. Like, goodbye. Thank you, Kempire.
Thank you, Anthony. All right, Mel is backstage. We're gonna bring Mel up next. Mel, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm gonna keep this pretty quick. You know what? I think the episode was sad, but I will say I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it straight through. It went by real quick. My issue is that I think that Britt, in a way, is like a baby Kenya, because when I think of season 5 reunion, it was Kenya that was about to put hands on. At least she intimated she wanted to put hands on Phaedra while she was pregnant at the reunion. They were in a big argument. She said, "Oh, I want to get you," and she didn't care if she was pregnant. Also, season 6, episode 7, she had that infamous scene with her friend Brandon in the closet talking about the GUN. And that was for Phaedra too. So she was very aggressive with Phaedra. And so I just feel like Britt pulled the Kenya on Kenya, basically.
Okay. All right, Mel. Thanks so much. All right. We're going to bring up Q, or I think that's how you pronounce it, Q. What's going on?
Oh, hi, Kempire. First time caller.
Hey.
So I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible. Obviously, I agree with what everybody said about like what Kenya did. It's really sad and miscalculated. But I had a theory. Like both Brit and Kenya, what they did was wrong. Okay. But after Brit said what she said, the rest of the cast, they continued to film and they were like having scenes and talking about what happened last night. And it just made me clock what, I'm just going to finish quickly, made me clock what Porsha said to the producers. She said, "I'm ready to go," and erased me as if I had never attended the event. Yeah. I wonder if that, instead of production letting Kenya go, if it wasn't the castmates having a chat off screen saying, "We don't want to be associated with Kenya," which led the producers to say, "Look, Kenya, it's either them or you, so you have to go."
That's a good point.
That's just what I thought.
Thanks, Q. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's a good point, because I mean, I wouldn't put it past Porsha, because remember, we saw something similar happen with the Porsha and the Nene of it all on the whole Upshaw's situation. So, look, Q brings up a valid point. All right, I'm getting to these last couple of calls, guys. Wait, we had a super chat. Nazza, thank you so much for another super chat. Nazza says, well, apparently Kenya did not like Cynthia's response to Watch What Happens Live. Kenya needs to take accountability. Yeah. Look, yeah. Thank you guys so much for over 2,000 likes. We appreciate the support. Replay crew, be sure to let us know your thoughts and opinions on the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta and what we've been saying about the episode as well. All right, Shanisha's backstage. We're going to bring Shanisha up next. Shanisha, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
Okay, so let me get to it. So I think one, we need to start using the correct terminology. This is not revenge P, what Kenya did whatsoever. The photos are already out there. They existed. She didn't expose them. She merely shared them. Now, am I saying what she did was right? Absolutely not. But I also don't think Britt was right. I'm holding production and the network responsible because they should have taken those claims more seriously. Do you remember on R&B Divas when old girl husband said he was coming up there with a pow pow? Baby, we never saw that show again. We never saw the show again, Kempire. Why was something similar not done?
Because they don't want to end their show.
Exactly. Exactly. But they will flash. We don't condone violence anytime something happens. Like, come on now.
Okay.
It's all fun and games until something happens.
Thanks, Shanisha.
See you.
Bye. Camry's backstage. We're going to bring Camry up next. Camry, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire, how are you?
Oh, how are you?
I'm good. So ditto to what Shanisha said. I was just about to say they're both wrong, but it's on production and the network. That's who we should blame. Angela's lies are going to get old. Like there's too many holes in the story. Eventually, we're gonna start to be like, okay, now, girl, it's giving Phaedra, it's giving Mia. She's just more likable and she can read. So, we'll keep her for now. I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna keep watching for all the twerking, for all of the lying, for Drew. I like it. I still love Housewives. We gotta let go of the old Housewives. It's gone. They'll probably just have to completely cancel and come up with a new show. We'll always compare to the old times. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Camry. Look, Riona is backstage. We're going to bring Riona up next. Riona, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So I wrote it down so I won't take up your time. So I put Angela needs to stop being wishy washy and stop playing the supportive friend, but actually state her opinions. And then I put Kenya should have a sit down scene like Shamia did at her house after her birthday event and mention the things that she found out in a private setting without showing the actual picture. I compared it to like a Blue Eyes moment from Potomac, like how everyone knew who Blue Eyes was, but we never saw him. And so it would still kind of get out that like sense of, hey, leave me alone, girl, but it's not almost exposing her. And I'm still on Team Kenya, but I do agree it's production's fault. Thank you, Kempire.
Okay, thanks, Riona. All right, we have Vanessa backstage. We're going to bring Vanessa up next. Vanessa, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Okay, so I'm Team Nobody,
I know
but
that's right.
here's who I am. I'm Team Brookie because she's going to end up writing a tell-all book. I think it was absolutely disgusting for Kenya to take that moment where she said she did this. She opened up this beautiful shop for her daughter, only to turn around and show those disgusting pictures. That means it was planned, Kenya. You plan to show those pictures to embarrass that girl, but you said that the shop was dedicated to your daughter. So sense. She's disgusting. She needs to get some therapy because of her mommy issues. And she's mommy dearest in my opinion. So prayers out for baby Brookie.
Okay.
And
all right.
Ken got her karma.
All right.
That's it.
Thanks,
Love
Vanessa.
you.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Bye.
Bye. Nan is backstage. We're going to bring Nan up next. Hold on, Nan. There we go. Nan, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing, Kempire?
How are you?
I roll and be quick. I don't understand this. I don't know. Kenya is okay. She's a polarizing, beautiful, intelligent figure, but anything she does is amplified. Anything she does is amplified. If you ever took math classes and had a math tutor and they said, okay, now check the problem in reverse. You get the same answer, forward and frontward, it's the same way. But I'm just saying, go in reverse. Could you imagine the backlash that Kenya had lied on Candy and Todd about a dungeon with panties and drugs, God knows what else. If Kenya had with the Delta Airlines and employees, whatever Apollo was charged with. If Kenya had said, I'm going to get my pistol and my purse to the new girl, it just go in reverse. Do what was done to Kenya, do what was done with others, and Kenya did that. Could you imagine the incessant backlash Kenya would net on these streets? If Kenya stole Simon from filing, Could you imagine what Kenya would go through if she was married to Simon? I'm not. Oh, you're a twirler. No, I'm a logical. Is that a? I don't give a fuck if it's not a word, but I mean to cuss.
Okay.
This is not.
All right,
It's
Nan, your
not
time is up, Nan. We got a
the
line.
hell Kenya catches, huh?
Thank you. All right. All right. Jasmine's back. So we'll bring Jasmine up next. Jasmine, what did you want to share?
All parties was wrong. I don't care what anybody says. All parties was wrong. The network, if they were smart and you really want to keep the audience, you need to have Kenya at the reunion and you need to have her face, Britt, and they had this conversation on board. But I do agree with the other lady, like she just said. I am tired of people putting Kenya up to this higher standard as if she does something, it's instantly wrong. That girl was wrong too. They both should have been fired. This would have never even happened because Britt wouldn't even been there. That's it. Bye, Kempire.
Thank you. All right. We have Audrey backstage. Hold on, let me just stop the timer. Let's bring Audrey up next. Audrey, what did you want to share?
Hey there, Kempire.
Hey.
Hi. Oh, but I just want to say quickly, I agree with you. That was cringe last night. I agree with a lot of the callers. Both were wrong, but Britt should have been removed immediately. Also, production knew about those posters, and I feel like they kind of threw Kenya under the bus by letting her show those posters, and then like throwing a stone, then hiding a hand, like, oh, we didn't know about this. We didn't know it was going to be that bad. I think they knew about the posters. Also, I want to say real quickly, remember when Kenya, this was a couple seasons back, when those fans climbed her fence and were on her property, and she took out the, pow pow on her on those fans, and she was real quickly saying the whole thing about protecting herself, whatever. I think Kenya is dealing with some trauma about not feeling protected. If you notice, anytime a guy yells at her, she reverts to this thing of not feeling protected. So I think that has something to do with it. But again, just real quickly, I think both of them were wrong. It was so sad to see Kenya go out like this, but I do think they should get rid of Britt and bring back Kenya next season. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Audrey. All right. Mama Allie's backstage. We're going to bring Mama Allie up next. Mama Allie, what did you want to share?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
I always think it's silly when somebody asks that, but you never know. I was just going to say, as I want to come at this from a different angle. As a legal Pow Pow owner and a legal Pow Pow advocate, I will say that I think what Kenya did is completely wrong. What she should have done was she should have gone to the police. She should have gotten a no contact order. She should have made Bravo accept and respect that no contact order. And then, real quick, she should have just dropped it. The revenge corn was absolutely disgusting and wrong. And I think she should lose all ability to own a Pow Pow from this point on. Okay. And that is my opinion, but that is how I think it should, that's how legally it should be.
Okay.
And I just wanted to point that out.
Okay. Thanks, Mama Allie. All right. We're going to bring up Wendy next. Wendy, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire. So really quick. I agree with the last two callers. I think Kenya was completely wrong. I hope she comes back next season. She needs to get some therapy if she has concerns with safety. I can see that coming up. But she was wrong. Britt's boring. Kick Britt off. And then finally, I just wanted to mention the Angela scene with her daughter. I felt like her daughter was a little manipulative.
A little?
As soon as Angela, right? As soon as Angela tried to hold her feet to the fire and say, "You didn't tell me," she was like, "This is the..." What did she say? "This is the beat up on Amari show." And I was like, girl, I have a 19-year-old. And I was like, it's giving 19 years old. Check her. That's it.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Yeah. Because I watched it when I first saw that scene. I was like, But I was trying to give Amari grace because I always remind myself we're watching an edited show. But then multiple times I've seen that scene, I'm like, Amari. But look, some of y'all kids are playing y'all like a fiddle too. So don't sit here and act as if y'all kids aren't playing y'all like a fiddle. All right. Dee's backstage. Dee will be our last caller. Dee, what did you want to share? Dee, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Oh, yay, I've made it through. Oh, I'm so sorry. So this is coming from a HR business partner. Everyone was just wrong in this situation. We all know what Kenya did was wrong. But if this was to go into a tribunal in the UK, let's just to say, we will look back on contributing factors and the root cause. Bravo did not do what they were supposed to do, and production knew that Kenya was going to do that. Regardless, as soon as when whatever her name was mentioned about Pow Pow, they should have just stopped her right there. But that's all I have to say.
All right. Thanks, T.
Bye.
Bye. Here's the thing. I think production should have, and I said this already at the top, they should have said, Britt, don't come to the event. I really don't believe. I know everyone really believes that production knew about those poster boards. I don't believe that they knew about those poster boards. But I also don't. I don't think that they should have allowed Britt to come to the event. I think they should have been like, let's at least have you guys have a one-on-one before you come to her event. Something. So who knows? I don't think anyone is necessarily innocent in this situation. What Britt did should have been handled properly. What Kenya did should have been handled properly. NASA says, I understand people stating Britt was wrong, and she 100% was. However, it does not negate the fact that Kenya went far and beyond showing the pictures. I wish the best for her in Brooklyn. Everyone was wrong, including the network. Queen says, none of the cast took Britt's threat seriously. Not really. It wasn't a big deal to them. Production knew what Kenya was doing and thought two birds, one twirl. Wait a minute. And maybe the reason why they didn't take what Britt said seriously was because they didn't hear it themselves. We saw it. We saw her say it multiple times. We saw the level of anger that she had. Her level of anger felt, that rage felt like, what is happening right now? Why are you so mad? Gracie says, Andy on his podcast is giving Team Britt because she's still a current employee. So I'm not surprised by that. And also the fact that she's still there, I'm not surprised by that as well. I keep telling you guys, I know he likes to play like he doesn't make these hiring and firing decisions, but he's a part of those decisions. Ariel, thank you for the super chat. Ariel says, if Kenya would have stopped at the first or second poster, I think she would have been okay. Still cringy, but wouldn't have been as bad. Agreed. If she didn't show explicit photos at her event and just showed examples of her like, but first again, what's the point? Save that for your next group event. That's not your grand opening. Because regardless, I'm thinking as a business owner, why are we talking about this woman at my event? She's not even in the room. But yeah. Samara, thank you for another super chat. Samara says, definition of revenge P. Sharing intimate photos of an individual without their consent to the public with the intention to humiliate, even if the images were previously online. Samara, I already know. We've had these conversations ever since covering this damn thing. People say it was not revenge P. It wasn't. Okay. all the pretend lawyers can share, but it's fine. It is what it is. Kenya is not facing any charges of revenge P. She's come out and denied that that's what she's done. Fine. Okay. Fine. Episode 5 is over. The aftermath of episode 5 will probably play out next week. I'm wondering what episode 7 through 15 is going to look like. We know Phaedra will be returning for the cast trip. Not sure exactly what Phaedra's storyline will be or what her involvement will be, but we shall see. We shall see. But what I won't be doing, if this episode after episode starts to feel like Roni, I can't promise that I will be still clocked in. Just saying. All right. Guys, don't forget, you can hear my White Lotus recaps on the Kempire Podcast Club Kempire, our new special podcast subscription available on Apple. I've extended the free 3-day trial for those that want to get a taste of it. You can hear our episode 1 through 7 right now of the White Lotus, but also there are special episodes on the traders and a audio of our Kempire After Dark live show from New York City. So be sure to check that out. More information is available on that in the description, along with my Butter skincare routine as well. I want to say thank you to everyone that sent in super chats, Venmos, Cash Apps. Always Priceless says, if the pew 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 threat was really scary to Kenya, why would have she publicly humiliate or provoke someone who's so volatile? That part. Yeah, it is what it is, guys. If you haven't already liked the video, be sure to like the video. Thank you to our mods. Thank you to our channel members, become a member today. There are all kinds of really great perks, so stay tuned for those. And be sure to thank you to our subscribers. Thank you to everyone watching on TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And take a look at our sponsor, Butter. So I shared with you my morning skincare routine. Now I'm sharing my nighttime skincare routine, brought to you by our friends over at Butter. Over the last several weeks, we've partnered with Butter, and I've been utilizing their skincare routine, and I have been loving it. So let me share with you my nighttime skincare routine. It's very simple, and it's made even simpler by our friends over at Butter. First, I start off with their cleanser. Wash your face with their cleanser. Then I use their silky soft towel, which I love. I love. They're disposable. They are quality. You shouldn't be using the same towel that you use to dry your body on your face. And then I'm using their retinol. People don't understand the benefits of retinol. Smaller pores, youthful skin. A lot of people don't even utilize this. You should. All you need next is their Coco Shea moisturizer. As I've said before, they've made my routine a lot simpler because I've had to use a different morning moisturizer versus what I use at night. With their Coco Shea moisturizer, I can utilize it for my morning and my evening. I just put a little bit less on in the morning. At night, I put a little bit more. And that's it for my nighttime routine. One of the other big questions that people have asked me, is there a scent in the moisturizer? Very light scent. The other question people have asked me, is Butter Black owned? Not only is it Black owned, their president is a Black woman. But of course, you also ask, can we get a discount? Of course, get 10% off when you use my link, butterskin.com/Kempire. More information on Butter will be available in the description. Thanks, Butter.
Here we go now.